Hey everybody, welcome back to the second lesson for the Stylized Game Weapons class. In this lesson, we will continue where we left off and start blocking in the low polygon base mesh in Maya. Now first things first, we have a concept to base this asset off of, and because we've analyzed that concept in the previous lesson, we also now have a good idea on how to actually create the asset. So with all that work already done, the quickest route would be to go ahead and use the concept that we made as an image plane to be referenced during the modeling phase. Setting up an image plane is very quick and easy. It can save you much time. So the first thing I'm going to do is make sure that the concept of the image is in a square aspect ratio and saved out as a JPEG. You'll notice in the last lesson it was more in a rectangular format. I just added more space on the sides and then recropped it to a square aspect ratio. And then I went ahead and saved it out as a JPEG. Nothing too large. Then to actually kind of get this going here in Maya, I'm going to create a plane. Just create it up here for the shelf. I'm going to scale this up to about 40. Go around. Rotate X 90. Then we go to front view. Now I'm going to start doing a couple things. I need to link that concept as a color texture to this plane. So I go to Attribute Editor, I click on Lambert 1, and then with color, click on this checker box, click on File, and then image name right here. This is where you sort of you navigate to find the actual file. So I click on this folder, you navigate to wherever that image is. I click on Image Plane JPEG, and now it is all linked. But at first, you might not actually see the texture on there. That's because in the viewport, you don't have textures activated. So you can either click on 6 on the keyboard, or you can click on the sphere checkerbox icon right here. A couple other things I want to do. I want to increase the transparency so I can see the grid underneath a little bit to help get modeling. And then I want to actually turn this into a reference object. So I go to channel box. I click on this icon right here. It'll make a new layer it'll make a new layer and add whatever I've selected into that layer automatically. So I click on that, click this twice to turn to reference, and now when I try to select that image, or sorry, that plane, I can't, which is good during the modeling phase because then I'm not accidentally clicking on the image plane when I want to just be modeling and clicking on other meshes. So now I can go ahead and start modeling this. I'm going to start first with the handle. And actually, you'll notice that this is right now referencing the original material of that texture. So I need to make another material. So sign field material Lambert. We'll make another Lambert. I'm going to increase the transparency so I can see the concept underneath. It's all good. Start scaling this. Good. Vertices down here. Move that down. And now I have the height where I want it to be. But I want to scale this in both the X and the Z. Don't forget about the Z. And one of the ways that I like to kind of, one modeling technique that will kind of be coming up quite a bit, which is really nice, is just kind of constraining an axis. So I want to scale this. I want to scale everything but the y-axis. So I need to constrain the y-axis. So how I do that is I hold down Control and then scale while I'm clicking on the y-axis. And now when I go to perspective view, just to kind of show how that works, when I go ahead and undo, you can see that everything, both x and z, scaled. And everything's scaled but the z-axis. The other thing I'm noticing is that the image plane, the actual image that's in the image plane, that texture, is actually not centered. So I can do two things. I can either go back to Photoshop and recenter that image, or what would be quicker in this instance is really just to kind of go ahead and just move that image plane. So I need to take this image plane off of reference, select it, and then I need to move it until it appears to be centered. Which that looks about right. Let me go ahead and scale up this a little bit so it'll be a little more apparent. And move this. Alright, that's good. Put it back into reference. Scale, take this again. Scale us into that. That works. Oh, I need to bring these down. That's working. And now, start modeling up here. The first thing I'm going to do is there's this other kind of tiny handle part right here. It's really just the handle without the wraps. So I'm going to take this shape. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate it. I'm going to scale it in. About there. About there. Bring these vertices down. Bring these up. That's that. Then I'm going to duplicate this again for these clasps, because the basic shape of both these forms are just a cylinder. So I duplicate, move down, scale out to about there. I'm going to go ahead and center the pivot actually really quick. So I'm noticing that the pivot is right here at the bottom, and for now I'd rather just have it centered. So I can hit Control P, and it's also in Modify, Center Pivot. I'm also at this point, well, I'm going to move these up. But now I really want to bevel this. So I select the entire thing, Control marquee the middle to deselect those middle edges. Go to perspective view, and you'll notice that because it's a cylinder, because it's capped, there's always other edges. And I don't want to bevel those. I only want to bevel these outer rims. So I need to make sure I deselect those. Go back to front view, bevel. If you don't have it on your shelf right here, you can also go to Mesh Tools and Bevel Tool. And now we just rescale a bit. So that line is matching up now. That matches up pretty well. This it. It's about there. That's working in general for me. This up. Go ahead and scale this in, constrain the Y. Yeah, that works for me. Take this, duplicate for up here. Center pivot again, might as well. Going to scale out, actually first scale out Z. This up, and now this top edge, that seems to be right. Scale this up to match the concept. This, and that works. Take this, bring down, maybe about there, because if you see the concept, it's a pretty thick bevel. Scale in, constrain the Y. Yeah, that works. Now for some of the other shapes. These shapes are really just cubes. So it's like this one right here, this is just a cube that's beveled. So I'm going to start off with the cube primitive. Move it up. You'll notice that again, I got to bring this to actually the new existing material, the Lambert 2. So I go to assign favorite material, or sorry, no, assign existing material, Lambert 2. First thing I'm going to do is rotate. So I'm going to rotate 45 degrees. So now that these edges are matching up, I'm going to scale. That matches. Bring this down. Bring that up. And now, bevel again. Take these vertices, bring this up. Take these, bring up. This has to get scaled X and Z a little differently. And same here. But we're done with that now. Up here, there really aren't any sharp bevels. Like I might make a little bevel right here, But I'll just go ahead and make a fresh new cube. Bring up. Assign existing limit 2. Again, I've got to move that 45. Bring up. I'm going to select this down here. Scale out to match. Move this up. I'm actually going to move up to match where the bevel is going to be, which is about right there. Alright. Scale out. Leave that right there. Bevel. For now, I'm just going to bevel just the top edge. That should give me what I need. Then I've got to rescale. Go up to about right there. Scale out. Why not a teeny bit more? Now, top part. Scale out. Down a little bit. And sounds like I should scale, tweak this fairly slightly. There we go. So that's all done. So we're definitely getting there. Now I'm going to make this stone and this stone handle. To do that, like we mentioned in the last lesson, I'm going to start off with a pyramid. Again, go ahead and assign existing number 2. Scale out. Definitely scale on the Y. I'm going to go ahead and select the bottom edges of the bevel right away. Oh, sorry, I actually accidentally hit extrude. Hit bevel instead. Bring this up to match that line. Scale out. Do this. Scale this out as well. If that works. Take this. Alrighty. I'm going to check this really quick. Perspective. It looks that's working. Alright, all the basic forms are there. All we have to really do really quickly is just kind of duplicate and mirror a lot of this stuff. So, I'm going to really quickly modify free transformations. I'm also going to go ahead and do double type history. And I'm going to duplicate scale Y. Bring down. Go ahead and free transformations again. Let's line Y, now do X and Z. Same tactic here. Match it up to Y, now X and Z. That should be there. Here, go ahead, duplicate, scale Y, bring down, modify, freeze. That's lined up. Scale in. That's lined up. Scale in. Again, I'm constraining. That is all set. Take this guy now. Duplicate. You get the idea. So I'm just going to do that for all of those. And just because it's a little bit more different, I'm going to take this. I'm going to show you how I'm going to do this part here. This stone and stone handle is a little more intact, so I'm going to base off of this. Duplicate, move over, scale quite a bit. That much. There. Rotate. Really, all I'm going to do is match this up. Then I'm going to negative Y scale again, duplicate. Then I've got both of these. And then I'm just going to mirror onto the other side by scaling the x-axis, -1. I'm going to combine it all. So I'm going to fast forward really quick. Show you basically just the final. So this is the low polygon base mesh that we can now bring into ZBrush. So really all we have to do is just select the entire thing, mesh combine, go to, I'm going to go ahead and delete the history as well. So edit, delete all the type of history. And then I'm going to File, Export Selection, and I'm going to just staff, low poly base mesh. Alrighty. And now I can just go ahead and go straight to ZBrush, go to Import, go to this, draw it onto the screen, and you'll see, like, I'm going to want to sculpt each one of these sort of elements, each one of these meshes separately. The easiest way to do this is just go to Poly Groups, Auto Groups, and now when I hit Polyframe, you'll see that it's grouped perfectly based off of how I made it in Maya. So now all I have to do is go to Subtool, click on Split, and then do Group Split. And now you'll see we got different subtool for each of these parts. So now we're basically set to start, dynameshing, sculpting all the secondary forms, and doing all that stuff in ZBrush. So that will be our next lesson. Our next lesson will be basically sculpting all the secondary forms and then sculpting all the details in ZBrush.